Welcome in to the Inquirer podcast. Good evening. It's Jeremy Werner and Kyle Tausk here at State Farm Center, where Illinois just wrapped up its second game of the season, a 113-70 win over Florida Gulf Coast. But Kyle was just telling some other guys in the press room that for a second game, a bye game against a lower level opponent, we sure got a lot to talk about tonight. There's a lot happening.
Yeah.
The biggest news, Tomislav Ivisic did not play in this game, out with a knee injury. We'll talk about that, what Brad Underwood said about it after the game, what it means for this team moving forward into a huge stretch of their non-conference schedule. The freshmen played well again. We'll talk about how good Keaton Wagler and David Mirkovic have been. Kylin Boswell with a career night. Zvonimir Ivisic steps up, has one of his best games of his career, and clearly the biggest impact he's made as an Illini so far in his second game. And Andrej Stojakovic returned to the court, Kyle. So there's plenty to talk about from State Farm Center tonight for what usually would be a ho-hum game as you gear up for the biggest game, Texas Tech, coming up next. But we got a lot to chat about in this one.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot to talk about. A lot of that is things you don't want to be talking about with the schedule you have upcoming, and another injury, and a really important injury to add to what's been kind of a nightmarish start to the season on that front for this team. But on a positive note, is averaging 113 points a game good? Is that good for your first two games? This offense is not missing a beat with the guys that have been out so far, and just again in this game, Illinois jumps all over an inferior opponent from the start. I forget what the lead was. I know it was 30-6 against Jackson State. They were close to that in this game, 14-1 before Pat Chambers called a timeout about 2.5 minutes in. This team is exciting to watch, and there's some injury concerns, and we'll talk about that. But the guys that have been out there for these first two games have played really, really good basketball, an enjoyable brand of basketball, and are scoring a heck of a lot of points. And it's going to be a tough team to guard for anybody, not just Florida Gulf Coast and Jackson State.
Yeah, obviously Tomislav Ivisic's injury could impact this, but this looks like a top 10 offense nationally. And, when Tommy's on the court, I feel like it has the potential to be top 5 and maybe, not 4 or 5 on that list. Like this offense could be really, really good. And the freshman impact on that is absolutely huge. But let's dive into it. Biggest miss of the night as we go over our hits and misses. Tomislav Ivisic is injured. Your best player. He is the best player on this team, one of the best centers in the country. Goes down with a knee injury on Wednesday in their practice. He was a surprise, shows up on the injury report, and you're thinking, man, Kyle, as we refresh that 3 hours before, we're going to be doing that all season with this team. It feels like. We'll talk about Andrej Stojakovic returning to the court, which is a positive, but your best player's out a couple of days before Texas Tech comes to town. Brad Underwood said it's not season ending, which is the positive. It's not the worst case scenario because there are fears whenever you go down with a knee injury in practice that could be it. But I asked him, do you expect him to be out? He said, I do expect him to miss some time. Knee injury, you think of what Andrej Stojakovic just went with. If it's a sprain like that, that could be a month or two. Now, Brad said that Tommy is one of the toughest players he's had. He bounced back from an ankle sprain pretty quickly. Only missed a game or two with that. So we'll see here, but clearly a big blow going into a huge week with Texas Tech, Alabama in 2 weeks, UConn in 4 weeks here, Kyle. The good news is you have Zvonimir Ivisic on this team. We'll talk about that here in a moment, but you can't replace Tommy Ivisic. He's one of the best players in America.
No, you absolutely can't. And this one hurts more than any of the others you've had, just because of what he means to this offense and what he means as a leader, his presence, just everything about what he brings to the floor. And we saw it in the opener, 21 effortless points. He was going to be in for a really huge year, and obviously you hope that he'll be out there at some point, but it really stings. That one hurts bad. And yeah, the vibe that I got, at least from the post game, is that he will miss a chunk of time, at least. Even Kylan Boswell kind of slipped in one of his answers. Well, now Tommy's out a while, so or not a while, out a bit, I think is what he said, to quote him correctly. But it just, with a knee, those are tough. As we saw with Stoyakovich, the vibe around that injury when it first happened was pretty minor. He'll be out a little bit, drags on for 2 months, and who knows what that's going to be. You never want to speculate with every injury being different, but I would anticipate, I think it's safe to say he won't play against Texas Tech. I would doubt Alabama will be on his plate. We'll see from there, but you're going to miss one of your best players, one of your leaders for a long time. Like you said, you do have to feel really good about the other front court pieces you have in the meantime with Zvonimir Ivisic and with David Mirkovic, who can give you a lot of what Tommy gives you offensively to an extent. Obviously not the shooter, but in terms of the playmaking, some of the things you can do with him in the half court, you can fill that void a little bit, and I expect that they will. But it's tough, and you hope that it's not a super long-term injury, but you also don't want to rush him back or play around with a knee injury that you could make worse. You need him back when he can be 100%. You need that guy back in the best version of himself.
The good news is I think you will get him back at some point. Just the way they talk about it, not season ending, positive. Get him here, Big Ten play, into March, all of that. Tommy Ivisic is huge reason that you have a chance to go deep in the NCAA tournament and be a factor in the Big Ten. You hit on the hit. He's got a twin, Kyle, and he's on your team. And Zvonimir Ivisic responded tonight. A great game for him. It's going to be a roller coaster. There's some chaos that's involved with Zvonimir Ivisic, but the highs are high, and the highs are an NBA potential center. Like when he's playing at his high level, he's a stretch big who makes threes tonight. Zvonimir Ivisic, 3 of 6 from 3. He's the best rim protector I have seen in an Illini uniform. 7 block shots tonight. That tied for second all time for Illinois in a single game. And he played 29 minutes tonight. He's an elite rim protector. He's great, top tier stretch big man. Outside of his brother, I don't know if there's many big men who can shoot like him. Those 2 skills are great, Kyle. It's the other things that you worry about. But he did rebound tonight, 9 rebounds. We'll see if he can continue that. That's going to be something you miss with Tommy not being on the court. He's not much of a low post presence. But you talk about stretching the floor, he can add that. Rim protection, he can add that. So you have a backup center who is capable of being a starting center for most teams. That's great. It's going to be more up and down than with Tommy. And then you got a guy in David Mirkovic. I'm still getting used to that. David Mirkovic, who's an offensive hub, just like Tommy. And it felt like that first game, it was more of David Mirkovic being the hub offensively than Tommy was. So that's the good news is you still have a good front court, a competitive front court that can help you win a game against Texas Tech or Alabama coming up here.
Yeah, for sure. And that's why it was so important to go out and get Big Z, because what he provides with his shooting offensively doesn't disrupt your identity and doesn't disrupt how you want to play. And that was the case at times last year when you went with Merez when Tommy was off the floor, and you just changed a little bit how you played offensively, disrupted that rhythm, and you look different. And you don't have to look different when Big Z's out there offensively. He can give you the shooting. He's a really, really good shooter. He's a confident shooter. The rim protection was unbelievable tonight. I haven't seen a big man with that level of shot blocking play for Illinois in some time here, and just how athletic he is. And man, just it felt like anything that was going near the rim in the first half, he was wiping off the backboard. He's a special talent when it comes to that. Now there's some things, with fouling, with discipline, with biting on some things against better competition that are still going to be concerns, and you want to keep him out of foul trouble. That's something that when you got JT Toppin coming to town on Tuesday, that is going to be a concern going into that game for him and for David Mirkovic. But it's really nice to have Big Z as the insurance policy here. And if he plays like he did tonight, it's obviously going to look different from an offensive standpoint, but I think he could still be a pretty dang good team and offense if you get what you got from Big Z tonight. And you just want him really to keep it simple offensively. He's not as advanced in terms of what he can do. He's not the passer, the playmaker. You're not going to play through him much, but if he can just hit shots and rim run a little bit and rebound, like you said, hit the offensive glass a little bit more than he has, I think you can cover for Tommy's absence, at least to an extent, and you can maintain your identity from an offensive standpoint.
And what I liked about it tonight, it was easier to do against a smaller team like Florida Gulf Coast to block the shots like he did. It didn't feel like he was hunting them as much, right? Like he got in trouble at Arkansas because he would just bite at every shot fake because he was hunting blocks. I felt like it was a little bit more disciplined. Now I'm interested to see if he can do that against Texas Tech, a stronger team, more physical team, a taller team. So we'll see what he can do there. But Kylan Boswell said, man, we got a guy back there like that. We can get aggressive. Like, we know we can make a mistake and he can clean it up. So he could be a really important part of this defense, taking a step forward. But foul trouble, being consistent will be key for him. But I thought he played incredibly, incredibly well tonight. All right, Kyle, where do you want to go? Hits, miss here.
Let's go with a hit, and it's got to be Kylan Boswell, who was phenomenal in this game. Career high 31 points, 13 free throw attempts, goes 11 of 13 from the line, 10 rebounds, which Brad Underwood said that he challenged him to go get double-digit rebounds, and he delivered. And that's just such an important part of how Illinois wants to play. And there was a frantic pace at times in this game, and Kylan was leading the charge on that in a lot of those situations. 3 assists, 1 turnover for him, 4 for 7 from 3. Just looks so confident this year. Just looks different to me than he did for most of last year. This looks like the guy in February and March that is confident, that's assertive, it's under control. But like he said, I thought it was interesting to hear Kylan say, I thought I was a little too passive in the opener, and I just woke up today and thought I wanted to be a little bit more aggressive. And so I'll go get 31 points and get to the free throw line 13 times. Like, it's a really, really good player. This is
I liked
Big Ten level guard. Yeah.
I liked the first game, him getting everybody else involved, right? And then, but I looked at you and I said, oh, he's hunting. He's hunting tonight. Yep. I wrote Killer Boswell. That's what we saw tonight. And that's the guy we saw the last 7 games of the season. And if you get that kind of Boswell all year, that's an all Big Ten guard. And that's the guard play you absolutely need. So go ahead.
No, absolutely. You're right. And I think he has the maturity now and the experience to kind of read that situationally. Like, there's going to be nights where he might have 9-10 points and be less involved and be a guy who's setting the table for other guys and isn't as assertive. But there's going to be nights where you're going to need him to look like this and take the ball and go and attack. And he's just such a physical driver, doesn't shy away from contact at all. Just the jump that he's taken from his time at Arizona to here in free throw rate, which I know we talked about in the offseason, is incredible and is something that's going to be such a key part of this offense on nights where, like tonight, you go 11 of 31 from 3 as a team, which still 36%. If that's your slower shooting nights this year, you'll take that. It wasn't quite the same night you had, but getting to the free throw line, Kylan and Keaton Wagler getting to the free throw line is going to be such an important part of your offense. And when Kylan puts his head down and gets downhill, you almost have no choice but to follow him. He's at that level when he's looks like he is tonight. And I just love the confidence he's shooting the ball with right now. And he looks totally different than last year, where he was just so hesitant, didn't trust himself. He's getting them off effortlessly. He's getting them up off the bounce. Florida Gulf Coast went under a couple screens tonight, and he just popped threes in their face at a heat check. Was really starting to feel himself from 3. I just think he looks like a really confident guy and a guy who has taken control of this team, which is what you've wanted him to do. He was just so good tonight. And if he's going to haul 10 rebounds in for you, that's really going to ignite your transition attack too, which we saw allow you to play really fast. And that's something that he's looked much improved doing as well, has been an emphasis for him. So he's a heck of a player. I think he's going to have a huge year.
Yeah, indeed. He's giving you a lot of things. I think this guy's a winning player, even though he hasn't been on a winning team. I don't think it's been his problem. Like, there's a lot of Bruce Thornton in there, right? Like, you just those guards are some of the best guards in the Big Ten. And, Kylan did that at times last year, but now I think you're seeing him, and I think he can be better than Bruce, just what he does defensively. But 31 points is a career high, 13 free throw attempts, 4 of 7 from 3. It's everything you want. Everything you want out of Kylan Boswell. All right, I'll go with another hit here. Kyle, it's too early for me to say this, but this might have the chance to be the best freshman class Brett Underwood has had. I mean, Io by himself was great. Kofi by himself was great.
There's been some really good ones.
I know. There has been. KJ and Will were really, really good. But they're going to be up there. Like, what we're seeing, and I know they got to play better talent, but Keaton Wagler, I loved his game tonight. Brad said it perfectly after the game. You and I were talking about throughout the game. His pace is a veteran's pace. He does not feel sped up. The moment does not feel too big for him. just the way he plays with pace and kind of lulls people to sleep and then gets a crossover to get to the rim, the way he's finishing through contact. Still got to see that against better competition, of course, but the way he is aggressive in those moments, but it never feels forced. It never feels sped up. He's always making the right decision. And that is so rare for a freshman. And then David Mirkovic continues to just be so much fun. It wasn't the most efficient night for him, 5 of 11, 0 for 3 from 3. But he got to the free throw line, got double-double, 17 points, 11 rebounds. Wasn't as many flashy passes, though there were some fun ones in there. I did have the leaping reverse layup that went in. It's just like some of these things you don't think are in his bag. And I sit there and watch him, and I just texted Isaac Trotter and Derek Piper tonight, and I said, guys, is he 90% of Derek Queen? Is that ridiculous to say? Just the skill set he has, the body, the physicality, the rebounding, the way he can be a hub offensively. I get it. It's 2 games against lower level opponents, but these guys produced against Florida as well. I think this is a great freshman class. Maybe it's not as good as last year NBA wise, but I think in terms of winning as freshmen, this group could be up there with Brad Underwood's best.
Yeah, and you're asking a lot out of both of them, and they're both delivering. And we'll see against higher level competition, and there's still probably going to be some inconsistency there. But you also feel like there's not going to be as much as you would expect from most freshmen, just the way that they play. And the fact that, like you said, Keaton Wagler, just so under control, so mature, just never forces anything. I mean, 7 for 9 from the floor tonight, 0 turnovers. Like Brad said after Jackson State, rarely ever throws a bad pass, rarely ever forces a bad shot. I really like the fact that he was finishing through contact tonight, was not shying away from contact. He was getting thrown around out there. Like he got hit hard a couple of times, was on the ground, got hit in the throat by 2 different guys where a Florida Gulf Coast defender sent him to the ground, and then he rammed into Kylin Boswell. Like he was taking a beating tonight, and he was not shying away from that to get to the free throw line, 7 for 7 from the line, and just finish through contact and really not shy away from that, which was the biggest concern with his game. And he'll see better athletes and stronger guys, and we'll see how that goes for him, and longer defenders. But I just really, really like where he's at. And yeah, he doesn't look like a freshman out there. You feel like you can trust him with the ball in his hands, and that he's not going to make bad decisions. And then David Mirkovic, there's going to be more of a roller coaster with him, I think, from game to game. But the one thing you love to see consistently from him is the fact that he's going to play really hard on the glass. Another 11 rebounds tonight on a night where he didn't have quite the offensive impact. Still got to 17 points. Part of that was 7 of 8 from the free throw line, but 11 rebounds again. And just that's what you're really going to need from him, especially with Tommy out. You need that consistently. And they're just really exciting players, and you are asking a ton from them based on the injuries that you've had, and they feel like they can handle it, and you feel like you can trust them to handle whatever load you throw at them, and they've been really, really impressive so far.
I'm really excited to see them against Texas Tech and Alabama, because it's the one thing that early on with KJ really stood out last year was that Arkansas game. These big moments didn't phase him, and then obviously he hit the wall. Those games he didn't play very well against good competition. Then at the end of the year was awesome, so they kind of flip-flopped. I'm really interested to see how they react to those games, but based on the Florida scrimmage, they did incredibly well there. So it's just the poise they play with, the skill they have, the pace. I just think it's going to lead to a lot more consistency, and thank goodness he got him, Kyle, as you said, because of the injuries they've had. No Petrovic, Ivisic, how long is he going to be out? Stoyakovich still working his way in. These are 2 of your best players, 2 of your best players, and they look like future NBA players as well. So this is unbelievably talented roster. And with those 2 guys, it never feels like they're hunting anything. Like one of the big reasons the ball just pops with this starting group is there's so much unselfishness, and these guys just know how to play. Like they're not hunting their own. And we'll talk about Stoyakovich here in a little bit. When he got on the court, ball stopped a little bit last year. Ball stopped a little bit with some of those freshmen. Now with these guys are already playing team basketball, and that's the one good thing is these guys have had to play together so much because they've been healthy that there's a lot of chemistry with the group that is healthy.
Yeah, for sure, and you can see that. I mean, it feels like you haven't missed the guys that have been out so far. You wouldn't know that there's key pieces of this team out based on the way they played, and it just feels like this group is really meshing well together. And like you said, you saw what throwing Stoyakovich into that did to it at first, and I think that's just a byproduct of the fact that he hasn't been out there, but the fact that the group that has been out there has been together for a long stretch of time, and I just think it's so nice to have as many great passers on this team as you have, and just the fact that, like you said, like David Mirkovic, his eyes are always up looking to pass, regardless of where he is, whether he's getting it off the glass, pushing up the floor, whether he's catching it in a short roll, whether he's posting a smaller defender up and looking where the help's coming from and trying to read the floor. Like, his eyes are always up looking to pass. This offense, the ball movement has been phenomenal in these first two games, and it's because you have a ton of guys who are unselfish, really good passers, just great feel. Yeah, and you can see that there is chemistry with the guys that you've had out there, and I think that helps, because while you haven't had important pieces out there, the fact is this is the group you're riding with for now, and you start to integrate Stoyakovich in there, but you're starting to see what this month lead up to the season has looked like for this team, and what the results are. And I just think it's a group that looks like a really cohesive unit offensively that's really tough to guard.
All right, we got some super chats. I want to get to those. We'll get to the return of an important piece on this roster. And we got to talk about a guy that's going to play a little bit more here that I've been encouraged by, a deeper guy on the roster. We'll talk about that here in a moment. But let's hear from a few of our great sponsors.
The long-awaited return of Illinois basketball is officially over, with both the Illini men's and women's basketball teams returning to action in State Farm Center this week. Be sure to gear up to support your Fighting Illini basketball teams this year with the official fan store of the Fighting Illini, Game Day Spirit. They're the one-stop shop for Fighting Illini merchandise in Champaign and have something for every Illini basketball fan. From the brand new Illinois basketball t-shirts and sweatshirts to Final Four merchandise from the Flying Illini and famous 0405 team, they've got something for you. And with all the newcomers on both the men's and women's teams, be sure to check out their selection of men's and women's Nike NIL jerseys and support your favorite player. You can visit them in Campustown at the corner of 6th and Green, or in Champaign right next to State Farm Center at the corner of Neal and Kirby. Or if you're at the game, check out their 4 merchandise stands around State Farm Center. For our audience not local to CU, you can shop with them 24/7 at GameDaySpirit.com. Be sure to follow them on social media at GameDaySpirit to see all their new arrivals this basketball season. Also, mark your calendars for the return of their famous stadium sale on Saturday, December 6th from 9 to 1. Game Day Spirit, where Illini fans shop. On mornings where I'm trying to get to an airport for a road game or trying to get down to Champaign early for a football game, I'm racing out the door and realize, nope, didn't even make breakfast. And that sometimes means you skip a meal, or even worse, you go to the gas station and get something greasy and you just don't feel well the rest of the day. Now I just grab a Huel ready-to-drink Black Edition. This one's my go-to because it keeps me full and focused. Each bottle's got 35 grams of protein, 6 grams of fiber, and 27 essential vitamins and minerals. No sugar added, gluten-free, and still under $5 a meal. Honestly, it's been a game changer. Fewer hangry mornings, I definitely get that. Smoother workouts, and I actually stay on track with my goals without stressing about what to eat. So Huel just makes healthy eating simple, whether you're busy, traveling, or just tired of skipping meals. And cool update, Huel is now in Target stores nationwide. If you want to try it out, new customers can get 15% off with our code Illini at Huel.com/Illini. That's HUEL.com/Illini. That's 15% off your first order, minimum $75 purchase. Use our code, fill out the post-checkout survey, and help support the show. Huel.com/Illini for 15% off.
All right, let's get back into it, Kyle. Illinois hits and misses as we go through this 113-70 win over Florida Gulf Coast. I think the hit is that Andrej Stojakovic returned to the court. That's a good thing, Kyle. I think the negative, the miss, was that Andrej Stojakovic's the first 30 minutes, Andrej Stojakovic, whenever he was on the court. It's growing pains, but it's good that you got those growing pains before Texas Tech. So take me in. What do you think of Andrej Stojakovic's first game as an Illini?
Yeah, you could tell that when he first got in there, he just wasn't playing within the flow of the offense, and it felt like he was forcing things, and he was a little anxious and was excited to be back out there, but to the detriment of Illinois' offense, the flow. They've had the ball movement. The ball stuck in his hands the first couple times down, and he forced some tough shots and just didn't feel like he was in a rhythm at all. And that was to be expected, and that's why I really wanted to see him play in this game, because you can afford to have that, and you can afford to let him go through those growing pains when he checks in and you're already up 20 points and you're playing Florida Gulf Coast, and you can just allow him to get his feet back under him, which I think was important in this game too, to see him play 22 minutes. He played 10 straight minutes in the second half without checking out. There were timeouts in there and a review or two, but that's good to see. He was huffing and puffing. You could tell that his conditioning wasn't all the way there, but just to see him on the floor and starting to get back into the live game speed of everything, I think was important. But you could tell there's rust there, and I think that's going to be a process that'll have to play out here for the next couple of weeks. It's not going to come instantly. It's not going to all of a sudden be perfect against Texas Tech on Tuesday night. This is a guy who at Cal was tasked with so much offensively and was that team's go-to scoring option. Felt like every night he needed to carry the load offensively. I think you could see a little bit of that from him coming in here. We're like, oh, wait, I have a lot of really talented guys around me. I don't have to come in and all of a sudden go ISO ball for 3 possessions and go try to get a bucket. Like, there's going to be times where I need to do that, but I think him just finding where he fits and finding the right balance of having that scorer's mindset, which I think is a really good thing to add to this team, to have just a guy who has that individual shot creation and can go get you a bucket, has the mindset to do that. But you also need him to play within the flow of your team. And as we talked about the ball movement and the passing on this team, started to see that in the second half a little bit more from him. And he had a nice pass there to Jason Jaxtis in one of the last couple possessions of the game, but didn't see a lot of that early. And you need to get that, and need to get him to a place where he feels like he knows where he fits and everything is working for him. And we're just not there yet. And it's going to take a little bit of time to get there. He was the only Illini other than AJ Red, who was minus in the plus minus tonight at -7. So it's going to be a little bit of a process to get him back fully to where he needs to be. But he's a really important piece. And I think you'll see that over time, over the next couple of weeks. He'll get more and more comfortable. And if you can get him to a place where he fits into his role, I think that's going to be a really welcome addition to this team.
Yeah, he was 1 for 6 to start this game, had a turnover in the first half, and the ball just died with him. Like, you could just tell he wasn't the guy who fit in with that team quite yet. But that's part of the process. And I talked about it with Michael too earlier this week. Like, we have to understand that he's not going to be Andrej Stojakovic, the best version, when he gets back on the court. And part of that is conditioning. Like, he hasn't played 5-on-5 basketball that much here recently, but also he just hasn't played with all these guys in basically 2 months. So it was great to get him on the court. It was great to have him go through those growing pains and to go through, hey, this is what it feels like to get my win back. And I like that Brad Underwood brought him off the bench and rewarded Jake Davis, who's didn't have a great night tonight, but the ball just moves with him and he doesn't make mistakes. So this was necessary. This was necessary, and I'm glad it happened tonight. I'm glad it happened tonight. But it was good, I thought, for Andre's last 5 minutes to be impactful. Like he finished 3 for 4 in the second half, hit a 3, hit a baseline jumper, had one where he bodied somebody up that was smaller than him, got to the rim. You can see all the skills, Kyle, that this team needs. They don't have that kind of piece. Like, Jake Davis is going to get beat more defensively than Andrej Stojakovic is. Andrej Stojakovic, when he does get beat, has a chance to make up for it with shot blocking. Andre can body people up, unlike Jake Davis. So they need a player like this. It's just going to take some time. But I'm glad you got it out tonight instead of having the pressure cooker of Texas Tech and him having to feel that pressure and forcing some things. He settled in a little bit in the second half and felt like he kind of knew what his role was at that point. It's going to take some time for him to realize, I don't have to be the go-to guy
Yep.
on this team. I can do a lot of things Trey White did last year, and he's probably better at a lot of them other than rebounding. But he can be a really good defender. He can be a really good cutter. He's going to get open shots. He's just got to settle into that and learn it. And the only way to do that is to play and to get the reps with it. So just get him back on the court. It's the start of it.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a big adjustment for him coming from Cal, where you just didn't have as much space to operate, and things were more clogged up, and you didn't have as many teammates that you could trust. But just his role on this team, like you said, like he had a lot on his shoulders at Cal, and I think you saw that a little bit tonight with how he came in and the way he played in that first stint, where it was just, I'm going to take the ball, I'm going to go look to shoot. He's got to understand that that's not always going to be his role on this team, and he's not going to be asked to do as much from that standpoint. Well, there's still going to be times where you're going to need that, and I thought you saw flashes of the scorer he is. His first bucket was a little baseline fadeaway jumper, which is something that not a lot of other guys on this team really have in their bag. Like, you saw his ability to hunt mismatches.
Even at 6'7", his release point, I was talking to you, it's kind of a weird looking 3-point shot, but his release point makes him even taller. Like, it's a high release point where he can get that over guys who are 6'7", 6'8".
He can, yeah, and I think that you saw a couple times where he had smaller defenders matched up on him. He attacked that matchup, and that's something that you're really going to want to go to. And just nice little confidence builder there towards the end, like you said. I thought he had checked out for the final time. There was about, I think it was the under 4 timeout where he came out, and I tweeted out, I'm like, just wasn't a great debut for Stoyakovich. And then he came back in and had a nice close to the game where he had a nice baseline drive and felt like he was just a little bit more engaged. Eyes were up the floor. Had a nice pass to Jason Jackson, just knocked down a 3. He's going to be important, and you're going to need to get him to a point where he's comfortable in the role he's going to play on this team. But I think you still want him to have that aggressive mindset without being a ball stopper. I think you're going to need that at times. I've wondered, like, maybe not as soon as Texas Tech based on where he's at, but like, one of these big games early in the year, if it's a tie game, if you got a final possession, if you just need a guy to go get you a bucket, who's that guy on this team? Maybe it's Kylan Boswell. Maybe I don't know, but I think it could be Andrej Stojakovic once you get him to a point where he's comfortable and he's on the floor. Like, he is your best individual shot creator on this team, and I think that's going to be a really important asset for this offense. Give them another button that they can push with him, and I think you saw flashes of that tonight, but there's a ways to go to get him to where he needs to be.
All right, I want to do another smaller hit. Can we give some Jason Jackson this love? I think he's playable. I think he's a playable guy. Like, if he has to go in for a couple minutes against Texas Tech, I think he can play. Is he going to be great? I don't know, but he can foul people. He's a big body. Like, what Fletcher's done with him, with adding strength, adding weight, has been great. But he plays hard. He plays good defense. He crashes the boards, and he cuts to the rim, man. Like, he makes himself available for these dunks, whether it was from Stoyakovich. There's another one. I forgot who it was from. Was it from Mirkovic? He just makes himself available on those cuts, and he can finish at the rim. He can elevate quickly and finish. So, in a year or two, can he be that Jackson Kohler kind of big? I just think he's a playable big that you're probably going to need now that Tomislav Ivisic is out, because there's going to be a game Big Z gets in foul trouble. There's going to be a game Mirkovic gets in foul trouble. And Hummerkaus is a nice big to rotate in there. Wasn't great from 3 tonight, 1 for 5, but had 9 points and 5 rebounds. But I think Jason Jackson's 4 points, only 1 rebound tonight in 10 minutes. But last game he had 9 rebounds and had a cut for a dunk. 3 dunks already for Jason Jackson. Just shout out to Jason. I think he can be a fringe rotation player.
Yeah, for sure. It's great depth to have. Now you're seeing it. We talked about it after the first game. Like, there's going to be a time at some point this year where either you have foul trouble or injury. Well, guess what? The next game you got a major front court injury. Like, to have that depth, that he's not going to be asked to do a lot. I'm sure he's still, even with Tommy out, isn't going to be asked to play a ton of minutes. We'll see if he even does play against a team like Texas Tech. You might need him to time here or there. Maybe you don't need him to, but to have that guy on your bench as a guy who you could tell he's grown so much from last year, not only from a physical standpoint, but I think he's just more comfortable. He understands what's asked of him. You don't notice him much when he's on the floor, except for when he's, like you said, when he's cutting to the rim, doing good things off the ball, rebounding. Like, he's he's not making mistakes. He's in the right position defensively. I think his contests on defense have been good. He's long. He's got size. He uses it well. I think he could be a solid defensive presence. Doesn't foul a whole lot. Like, he looks competent. He looks like a playable big and a guy it's good depth to have on this team. And I think you can absolutely survive with him playing a 4 or 5 minute stint, even against upper level competition if you have to here or there, because I think you can trust him to understand who he is and play within that.
All right, Kyle, you got any other hits or misses from this one? I think we covered the main ones.
Yeah. A hit, I thought they were outstanding defensively in the first half. I think it tapered off a little bit in the second half, and they let I don't know how to pronounce it. Knizny, J.R. Knizny.
The Notre Dame transfer. That's what I was called.
Notre Dame transfer. He got up to 26 points. He got going a little bit there in the second half, and you could tell Brad Underwood wasn't pleased with some of the things that were happening. It felt like Illinois took their foot off the gas pedal a little bit more in this game than they did on Monday night. I thought they were spectacular defensively in the first half. I thought everybody guarded the ball really well. I just thought they played really, really hard. Again, it's hard to get a gauge of this against this competition. I asked Brad before this game, like, where does he feel like his team is at defensively right now compared to where he hoped he'd be? And he's like, I don't know. I can't tell at this point. And
we'll
you're not going to
Tuesday.
Tell. We will find out Tuesday. And I think that's still an ongoing question on this team. And now you're missing guys, but I thought it was really, really good in the first half. They only turned Florida Gulf Coast over one time all game, which is odd. But, man, it just didn't feel like they gave up many open looks and forced really tough shots. And this is a Florida Gulf Coast team that got up 43 threes in their first game, and they didn't get up a whole lot of open ones in this one. And Illinois was forcing the types of shots that they wanted to, a lot of tough mid-range shots in the first half, a lot of really long defensive possessions, a couple shot clock violations. Just thought they were really tough on the ball. And I've been impressed to this point with how some of guys like David Mirkovic, Ben Hamrikas have moved their feet and competed on the perimeter so far this year. That's going to get tested quite a bit when you see more athletic pieces in the front court. But I just think from top to bottom, this team has guarded really well for the most part through these first two games, and it's been encouraging. And then, when you have a guy on the back end that if you do get beat here or there, if you gamble and miss, that to have Big Z back there erasing shots at the rim definitely makes you look pretty good too. But I thought for the most part, it was another really strong defensive effort.
I think the Cam Crocker effect, we'll learn more against Texas Tech. We'll learn more about against Alabama. But the one thing I do think that has been brought is intensity defensively. This team is so through two games, bye games, they let it go a little bit in the final 10 minutes. I felt like I think Florida Gulf Coast scored on like 10 of 11 possessions at one point. They made 8 straight shots, got to the foul line. But the intensity for that first 30 minutes was really there. And rebounding, 51-30, it's not 61-19, but it's still pretty dang good. So I think they've brought the intensity to that side, which is important to build an identity on that side of the ball. All right, before we get out of here, let's get to some of your super chats. Mike, $4.99 super chat from Mike. Thank you, Mike. Any chance Brad is load managing Tommy for Tuesday? No, I do not. You saw him, Kyle, in the hallway before he came out, and then he came out like he was walking on his own. There weren't crutches. That's a good thing. Did seem like there was a little bit of a limp there, but I don't think they would be load managing Tommy Ivisic going into Tuesday's game against Texas Tech. I don't think that's happening. He would have played 15 to 20 minutes if you're doing that. Like, you got to get him ready. You got to gear him up. I don't think they're faking any Tommy Ivisic injury here.
No, they are definitely not faking it. It's just tough luck for him. Can this guy catch a break since he's gotten Illinois? It's tough.
Hopefully, I thought illness was the first thing I thought of, and I was like, I thought the tonsillectomy was supposed to take care of that, and then an injury. Ray Finkel, what do you know about Ray Finkel? $9.99 super chat. One, appreciate J-Dub's follow-up about the injury. Yeah, I just asked Brad, do you expect him to miss time? And Brad said, yeah, expect him to miss some time. Don't know what that'll be, but Tommy's really, really tough. But I did ask him also, like, what did you learn from last year about dealing with this? And he said, we have to control what we can control, and I have to focus on the guys who are here. He did say it's a miss for us in the media not asking what happened in that practice and the injury trend. I get this is a question, and it's a fair one, and Kyle and I don't get every question. Joey and I don't get every question in the press conference. But you still have to play basketball, Kyle. Like, you can't just not go 5-on-5, and injuries happen. They happen a lot under Adam Fletcher. And if there's anybody that's been really good at injury prevention, we could talk to Michael Tulip about it. I talked to him about it before the game, and he said Fletcher's as good as anybody about injury prevention. He had a couple knee injuries here, which concern you. You know, Ty Rodgers was not when you were playing with him. He was in an open gym. But you've had Andrej Stojakovic, who just joined your program, have an injury. Now Tommy. But sometimes these things just happen. Like, basketball happens. You have an injury rash. John Gross had a lot of them. Brad Underwood has not had a lot of injuries. Last year was mostly illnesses. But now you have this, and it just stinks, man. So I'm sure Brad Underwood will look into it. You can follow up with him. I don't think they would change anything because Adam Fletcher's really smart about this. Brad Underwood's really smart about this. It's just unfortunate. You've had this rash of injuries for what is probably Brad's deepest roster.
Yeah, I just think it's an unlucky break, the way that it's all kind of stacked one on top of the other. I don't read all that much into it. I think the questions are absolutely fair with the fact that you've had so many of them happen, but in a short amount of time. But like you said, you look back on Brad's tenure as a whole, you really didn't have you barely had any major injuries for a long stretch of time, where like those Kofi teams, Trent Frazier, like you had here and there where a guy would miss a game or two. You had Corbello get a concussion. What are you going to do?
Had a knee.
Io had a knee once, and he came back really fast from that. And yeah, what are you going to do when you get hit in the face by Mady Sissoko on a flagrant foul?
But it's basketball. Like, Texas Tech has a ton of injuries right now, and
that's what I was going to say. Like, across the country, it feels like there's a lot more preseason injuries than we've seen, just in general.
And you wonder if that's because they're practicing all year now. Like, they are practicing all year. So that's something they certainly got to look into. But it's not just, I mean, Trey Kaufman-Wren is out for Purdue. That didn't look great tonight against Oakland. So it's basketball. Like, injuries happen. It's been a really unfortunate run for Illinois here in the preseason. And just like, with any coach, I think you're going to look into it. Shauna Green said they look into it, but there's nothing that they've had. It's just injuries are going to happen sometimes, and you can't not play basketball, Kyle. Like, you could put these guys in bubble wrap, and then they're rusty. They have no wind. They're not ready to play. So
they're not going to be close to the rebounding team you want them to be if you're not going hard in practice.
Yeah. So I get the questions. I would have the same thing as a fan, but I just I don't think you still got to play, man. You still got to play, and you still got to practice. So let's get to a few more. I've seen here what goes in those practices. Everyone gets hurt, and I don't think they're like sitting there doing like what was that show called? I don't think they're sitting there like wrestling around and just like coming out with like shoulder pads. American Gladiators is what I was thinking of. I don't think American Gladiators is going on in these practices, but basketball is a physical sport. We don't think about it a lot, but there's so much cutting. There's, you step on feet all the time or land on feet of other people, and you have these ankle injuries, all that. So I'm not trying to make excuses, but I think it's just been a bad run here.
Yeah, no doubt. I don't read all that much into it to this point. I think it's been unlucky the way that it's gone. But yeah, like you said, I think you're always evaluating that and what you can change. And yeah, I mean, you certainly don't want to lose anybody else. And so if you have to adjust things here and there or certain practice lengths or intensities to try and keep your team as healthy as possible. Brad Underwood's a really smart, seasoned veteran basketball coach. He's going to do what's best for his team. I think it's just been an unlucky break for this team, but it's a concern for sure. Just the fact that you've had so many.
Mihailo Petrovic was shooting on the court before the game. That was good to see. He was even doing some like explosive into a step-up shot. I didn't see him do a lot other than that. So don't know how soon that's going to be. But it is good to see him on the court, getting some shots up and doing a little bit of explosive stuff. Dat Boy from Illinois, what's the backup option at the 5 if Tommy is out? Is it Humrickhouse? That did not work at all last year. I do wonder if we'll see David Mirkovic play some 5.
I think so.
Ben Humrickhouse out there. And I think Jason Jackson's the guy who can go and give you some spot minutes. But I think Mirkovic would be that guy for me.
Yeah, I think if he's off the floor, Mirkovic is probably going to be in there playing the 5. And I think he can do a lot of similar things that you do with Tommy from an offensive standpoint from that. And just he's physical. He can hold his own on the interior. Obviously susceptible to taller guys, and if he's going up against 7-footers, but I think that's probably where you would go for sure.
All right, last one. We'll go with Ricky. $20 super chat. Thank you, Ricky. Appreciate you, man. Let's get down to what matters. Our base uniforms are not good. We have amazing classics. We got to roll with them. Love you. I love you too, Ricky. We were talking about it. I asked you before the game, what jerseys do they go for Texas Tech? Do they go to the Flying Illini oranges, or do they go with the script Illinois whites? And you went with Kyle?
Script.
It's the
Gotta
best
go
jersey.
with the script.
It's the best
Absolutely.
jersey at Illinois right now. It is awesome. If you got Texas Tech in the black, Illinois in the white scripts, I think that would be phenomenal. I agree. Like, the base uniforms are fine, but I would just stick with the script whites, the Flying Illini oranges. I think those are the best. And the blue jerseys have a terrible record with Brad Underwood anyway, so just burn those things. So I think you just go with those all the time. I don't think you need a rebrand. I just would go with those all the time.
I agree. I think the script should be your primary uniforms at home going forward. Totally subscribe to that. When's the last time they wore the blues? Has it been like years, or did they pull them out here recently for a game or two? Or am I making
I think they wore them last year. Let me
I was going to say, I thought they pulled them back out for a game or two recently. And before that, they had retired them for like at least a year.
I think Brad wanted to do the Ain't No Curses like Billy Bob Thornton in Friday Night Lights. I think he wanted to try and prove that. I think they lost, though. So it's just
they did go away at some point, but yeah, they might have come back.
I don't know if it was USC. Now I'm going to look up some pictures from that.
Who was that game? Yeah, burn those. Get those out of here.
Because that one was pretty terrible. Okay, that's the women. I know this is bad podcasting.
Yeah, I'm sorry I asked this. This is we don't need to be answering this right now.
Now I'm really interested. But yeah, I would go with the script whites for a big game like that. The Flying Illini orange are really good, but the script whites, that's the ones that are the best. All right, any final thoughts here, Kyle, as we head into Texas Tech, a huge matchup. Let's focus there. JT Toppin back on the court tonight for them. Their other transfer from Washington State's a stud guard. He was back on the court. They've had a lot of injuries. Two of their other rotational players were out tonight. Christian Anderson, a very, very good guard. One of the best top threes Illinois is going to play is against Texas Tech. So early, you don't have to dive deep, but any early thoughts on the matchup against Texas Tech, especially with Tommy Ivisic likely out?
It's going to be a heck of a test for sure. This is a Texas Tech team that has one of the best duos in the country, if not the best. Definitely a top 3 duo in the country with Christian Anderson and JT Toppin, two guys who are potentially All-Americans. Toppin, a guy who's gotten some Big 12 Player of the Year. He's Big 12 preseason Player of the Year. He's gotten some National Player of the Year love preseason. Like he is a load to handle, and that's going to be a heck of a test for this front court that now doesn't have Tomislav Ivisic. He can get you in foul trouble pretty quickly if you're not disciplined on him. So that's something that I'm going to be monitoring going into this game. Now that you're thinned out, who gets that assignment? What does that look like? How does Illinois guard him? Does Cam Crocker get more aggressive on a guy like that in terms of trapping, doubling, something we haven't seen a whole lot? Like, we'll really get to see what that looks like against a dominant front court presence. But you got Christian Anderson too, who I can't wait to see that matchup with Kylin Boswell. That is right up Kylin Boswell's alley, a guy who had 34, 11, and 7, I think, in Texas Tech season opener. They were missing like the other 4 starters in that game, so he kind of had to do everything, but he's really good. He's going to take a big leap this year. Those are 2 really, really good players. And then we'll see the supporting cast. There is some question marks there. They've gone kind of the mid-major route with some of those pieces, and like you said, they're missing they still were missing 2 rotational guys tonight, one of them being Luke Bangboye. Maybe I left that right. One to you. Yeah, I'll give it a try. Luke Bamboye, second in the country in block rate last year as a freshman, 2.1 blocks a game and 16.8 minutes a game playing alongside Toppin. So that's a really important piece. And then Josiah Mosley was the other one who was out tonight. He's a transfer from Villanova, bench forward, 6'8". So they're missing those 2 guys. But Yeah, it's going to be a fun matchup, and we'll see how Illinois handles it. Obviously, you're going to be shorthanded in that game. Like we said, I'd be stunned if Tommy even came close to playing that one. You're not going to have him. I would be surprised if Mihailo Petrovic is back for that game, but we'll see. I think it's going to be a fun game. It's going to be great pace to that game, physical game. Texas Tech, I think Grant McCaslin's a heck of a coach. They're a no-middle team, so that'll be a test for Illinois' offense and see, you're going to have to move without the ball a lot. We'll see if they can throw some wrinkles in with Mirkovic and his playmaking and the fact that you have such good stretch big guys. You can pull a big-time shot blocker like Bangboye away from the rim, pull Toppin away. I think it's going to be a fun chess match. I'm excited for it, and we're going to learn a lot more about this team after that game for sure.
Yeah, we're going to learn a lot about Keaton Wagler, a lot about David Mirkovic. You need Kylan Boswell to be great. You certainly do. You need Ben Hummerkaus to step up. You need Stoyakovich to settle in a little bit more. But, man, this is fun. Like, to have this kind of matchup, top 20 matchup in State Farm Center, non-conference marquee game. Listen, I get going to Chicago. I get going to Madison Square Garden in Nashville, getting the game here. I love these home and homes. And this is what college basketball and college sports are all about. So you got to feed off that home crowd. And if you can have a start like you've had the last two games, Kyle, and really come out as the aggressor, get up and down the court, get some stops and rebound well, you got a chance for a huge marquee victory. Like, you get a victory like this, man, that's the one that matters on, was it March 15th, March 17th, whatever it is this year for Selection Sunday. Like, that's a win that's going to resonate, because that Texas Tech team is going to do some damage in the Big 12.
Yeah, and you and Derek have talked about this before, but Illinois hasn't taken great advantage of these big-time home games that they've had here in recent years. These marquee quad 1A home opportunities, they haven't won a lot of them here recently. You got to take advantage of that. When you got this place rocking early in the season, both teams still trying to figure each other out a little bit, like, you got to feed off that. You got to take advantage of that. You've got a really tough non-conference slate, and you're probably going to be shorthanded for most of it, at least it seems. Like, this is an opportunity that you need to take advantage of, because, yeah, you could beat Alabama. You could beat any of these teams. It's going to be tougher to do it away from here. This is your best chance to pick up a marquee non-conference win when you have it in your building, and you got to take advantage of that opportunity when you have it.
All right, good stuff. We appreciate all you guys for listening to the Illini Inquirer podcast. Follow us, rate us, review us wherever you get your podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, appreciate you guys. Hit that like button, subscribe, and hit the notifications bell for whenever we go live for these post games. One of the most fun things that we do. If you're not a VIP member, sign up now. 30% off a VIP membership. But we appreciate you guys listening in. For Kyle Tausk, I'm Jeremy Werner. Everybody have a great night. Take care of each other. We'll talk to you next time right here on the Illini Inquirer podcast.